Hello. Hey, what's going on? Thank you for joining me. All right, so I do have some stuff I want to share with you. And, I already anticipated that, the truth is going to come out at some point, right? The truth has to come out. And I think we're going to see more of it in the future. And there's a reason why they want to suppress the truth. There's a reason why they didn't want this information to come out. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the affidavit. I'm talking about them raiding President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. The truth is bound to come out. They can't hide it forever. Now, they're supposedly this Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, they're supposed to release some of the information about the affidavit, other than everything that they black out. Now, one particular judge looked at it and said, there's nothing here that you need to redact. But the Biden administration and the Democrats, they want to redact as much as possible from the American people so you don't know the truth. That's what it all comes down to. They don't want you to know the truth. And you have to ask yourself this one very simple, basic question. And you already know the answer to it, but we still have to ask the question. Why in the world would they want to hide the truth? Why wouldn't they want us to see it? We're talking about us as Americans. We're supposed to be on the same team, are we not? Maybe I'm missing something there. Maybe that whole, United States of America, that whole we are Americans, that whole thing about us uniting together, that whole thing about us recognizing that we're all together in this thing. Maybe I missed that part. Maybe it just kind of blew by me. You know what? I will have to say that the Democrats, they don't see the same America as we do. They don't see the same freedoms as we do. They don't see the same greatness the United States of America can be, right? All they want to focus on is wokeness. Think about it. Every policy, everything that the Democrats, that the left, these socialist, evil people, the only thing that they pay attention to, or the only thing that they want to concentrate on, is wokeness. Name something that they're doing that has nothing to do with wokeness. Name something. I mean, all the policies that they're pushing, it's not for the benefit of the American people. It's for their wokeness. Think about it. Every last thing that they're pushing. Okay, but let me get on with this here, because I have some stuff that I want to show you tonight, because it's really interesting how the truth is coming out. And, of course, the liberal mainstream media, they're going to ignore the truth. They're going to ignore it because that's their MO. Oh, did you hear? Did you hear? All of these talk shows on the Communist News Network, they look like they're about to get the axe. Don Sourpuss Lemon, Jim Acosta, Brian Stelter, the AKA eunuch, coined by Tucker, he got the axe last Sunday, and they're saying there's even more coming. And I talked about it a little bit yesterday. I talked about it a little bit, but there more people are starting to come out. More names are starting to come out, and they're like all sitting on the edge of their seat. Am I going to get axed? Am I going to get cut? Probably so, because people are tired of it. People are tired of it. If you were going to just, that's the reason why CNN numbers are so low, because they're anti-American, they're anti-God, they're anti-Trump, they're anti-freedom, they're anti-anything that's good. And their numbers are starting to reflect that. But let me get to this first video that I want to share with you. This one is with Joe Brandon. And this reporter that's asking him the question, I don't know if y'all seen this, but this is really good. This is really good. Please do me a favor. Hit the share button so people that haven't seen this can see this. Listen to what Joe Brandon is asked by this reporter. And another question you have to ask yourself, why weren't the reporters asking these tough questions before now? Why all of a sudden they're trying to act like they're wanting to get too hardcore hardcore questions and want the answers, right? Listen to Biden, because Biden is going to be asked a question, and then the reporter is going to tell him about how weak he is and his poll numbers, and Biden's going to act like he don't even know what he's talking about. It's really interesting. It's really something. Listen.
A question on the public response. A new poll out today shows Americans wanted to withdraw from Afghanistan, but they disapprove of the way you've handled it. Poll also found that, based in part on what's transpired in the last week, a majority of Americans, and forgive me, I'm just the messenger.
Listen. Now listen to this part. And he goes, forgive me, I'm just the messenger, right? And he's probably not going to allow this reporter back in, anywhere close to him. Like Biden doesn't, he can't stand Peter Doocy, right, from Fox News. But this reporter here, listen to what he says about Joe Biden.
No longer consider you to be competent, focused, or effective in the job.
You hear this? I mean, come on. This is beautiful. This is a reporter finally said it to his face. And just look at him. And he's going through his mind. How dare you say this to me? Do you know who I am? How dare you say such a thing to me? Do you know who I am? I am Joe Biden. I am Joe Brandon. Listen. I'm going to play it again. Listen, because it's like, this was really good for this reporter to do that. Because look, see this expression on Joe Brandon's face right now? Listen, look at the expression on his face after he's asked this question. Listen closely and look.
A majority of Americans, and forgive me, I'm just the messenger, no longer consider you to be competent, focused, or effective in the job.
And you see the smirk on his face now. Now listen to what Joe Biden says here. Listen to what he says, because he's going to try to ignore it all. And then he doesn't even talk about Afghanistan, right? And then he kind of just laughs it all off, right? And everyone's been talking about it, at least, on the media, social media platforms and stuff. Everybody's been talking about it. Listen to what he says.
No longer consider you to be competent, focused, or effective in the job.
I haven't seen that poll.
He haven't seen that poll. Of course he hasn't seen it. They're not going to let him see that, because they don't want him to know that, hey, the American people are onto you, stupid Joe. You cannot comprehend anything.
It's out there from CBS this morning.
And then he just tried to laugh it off. It's not true. And I'm willing to bet, with that reporter asking that question, I'm willing to bet they're trying to remove anything about him being asked that question. They're probably trying to remove the polls talking about he's not competent. He's not completely there. He's not dealing with a full deck. Something is seriously wrong with this dude. And we were saying something was seriously wrong with him before 2 years ago, 3 years ago. We were all saying it. We were all seeing it. That we all know that Joe Brandon has something going on with him. Something was wrong with him. We were all calling it out. We knew that there was a problem with him. So I have something else that I want to share with you. Okay. Now, this is how the left thinks. You can actually show this information. You can show leftists the information. Oh, hold on. I just got a message here. My producer that sent me a message saying Jerry Nadler was defeated, earning 56. Wait a minute. Okay, so Melanie, I guess that's his opponent, earning 56% of the votes to her. I'm not sure what that means. Just under half the count. Okay, so I guess she got 56 and he got 27. I'm not sure how this is in here. But anyways, Jerry Nadler has been defeated. Woo-hoo! Jerry is gone. Not that he's going to be missed or anything. But Jerry Nadler, he's filthy rich, so he don't have anything to worry about. He doesn't have anything to worry about. Okay, let me get back on. That's good news. I just want to say that out real quick. Jerry Nadler lost. Okay, this is the primary. Now we need to get rid of the Democrat in the general. Okay, New York. There's still hope for New York. Okay, now Listen to this. This was on the Communist News Network, and they're talking about the attorneys for President Trump. See, now we're starting to get into the main topic of tonight's broadcast, that they lied. They knew before Joe Brandon, the Biden administration, the Democrats, they knew what the FBI was going to do because they basically signed off on it. I'll show you proof tonight. But before we get to that proof, I want to share this with you. Listen to what they're saying here, because they would like for all of us to believe. They would like for all of us to believe one thing when they actually see the truth, hear the truth, and they still go along with this lie that they constantly push. Listen to this really carefully, because I'm exposing these people for who they really are. Listen.
Stephanie, in terms of the messaging of the former president, I just wonder what you hear in this letter that his representatives sent to Attorney General Merrick Garland. I'll just read some of it. President Trump wants the Attorney General to know that he has been here.
Okay, let me stop it. Now listen to what she says, because she's going to read it out here. And I want y'all to listen to the last part of this and then listen to the response.
Hearing from people, capitalized, all over the country about the raid. If there was one word to describe their mood, it is angry. The heat is building up. The pressure is building up. Whatever. Okay,
let me stop it right there real quick. Now, of course, across the nation, even Democrats were upset about this, about them raiding President Trump's home. Even some Democrats have been showing up on Fox News saying this is not right. This is not right. Hardcore liberal Democrats. Now, listen to this. Listen to this. Y'all have to listen.
Whatever I can do to take the heat down.
This is the part I really want you to pay attention to.
I can do to take the heat down, to bring the pressure down. Just let us know.
Okay. They said whatever we can do to take the heat down. This is one of President Trump's attorney, right? Or once the Attorney General. This is a representative from President Trump telling them, saying, hey, whatever we can do to take the heat down, to bring the pressure down, just let us know, right? So let me ask everyone that's watching right now, does this sound like someone like a crime boss saying, hey, just let us know what we need to do to bring the heat down, because we don't want this pressure happening in the United States of America. We're completely cooperating. That's what this just said. And they just read it. Did y'all read the same thing? See, again, let me remind y'all something. They see the truth. They hear the truth, and then they still go along with the lie. Listen to the response. Again, one more time. Listen, because I got to drill this in so you understand what I'm talking about here. Because at the last part, it says, whatever I can do to take the heat down, to bring the pressure down, just let us know. That means, hey, we're going to work with you so we can get people to calm down about this raid that happened to us. That's what President Trump is basically saying. But listen to what they say here.
What do you hear there?
It feels ominous. It feels like a veiled threat. It feels like he's making sure they understand that he has the power to control.
Where's the threat at? You hear this? Where's the threat at? There is no threat there. He's saying, what can we do to bring the heat down? And they're literally saying that, or he's threatening them. And then he's saying, and then listen what she's talking about the Republican Party, saying that this only proves that he controls the Republican Party, which President Trump, the Republican Party, is no longer the Republican Party. It is the MAGA Party. And they don't like it. But listen.
Sure, they understand that he has the power to control death threats, mobs attacking, etc. The former president knows full well all he had to do was get out on his social media or have people from Republican leadership, all of his surrogates, get on TV and say, there is no room for violence here. Let us have this play out. They know that's what they could do.
Isn't that what he just did? Come on, people. Isn't that what they just did? They said, let us know how we can help to bring the heat down, bring the pressure down. Let us know we're willing to do it. Didn't he? She just read it to them. And again, see, this is how you know, me personally, this is how I know. I don't know about you, but this is how I know that we're living in the last days, because people see the truth, they hear the truth, and they still go along with the lie, and they repeat the lie. They just said that they want to bring the heat down, and she's sitting there saying that he could go on there and say, don't do any violence. Oh, really? But Kamala Harris didn't do that. She actually helped them commit the violence by bailing them out. The Democrats never did it. Don Sourpuss Lemon said, well, this is the only thing they can do because they don't have a voice to be violent.
So to put that in the letter, I think, was just trying to dangle his power over the Republican Party and his base over Merrick Garland and the DOJ.
I mean, seriously, do y'all need to hear the letter again? Do y'all need to hear the letter again? Let me just go to that part where she just read the letter. That's it. And then I'm going to move on to the next clip because y'all need to hear. You hear what she just said. Like, is she able to comprehend what they read? That's what's going on here. They just read what they wanted, but then they can't understand it. Listen.
To know that he has been hearing from people, capitalized, all over the country about the raid. If there was one word to describe their mood, it is angry. The heat is building up. The pressure is building up. Whatever I can do to take the heat down, to bring the pressure down, just let us know.
Just let us know. But she's unable to comprehend that they were saying, hey, just let us know. We'll bring it down. We'll try to do whatever we can to bring the heat down. That's exactly what it is. But they're not able to comprehend. Listen to the other nut job that was on there with them. They can't comprehend it. Did that letter sound like from a crime boss? Because a crime boss would be like, we don't care. We're going to tear everything down.
Oh, is there any value in it? No, not at all. And I do agree that it's really a veiled threat. Trump is
a veiled threat. Again, where's the threat at about bringing the heat down? About bringing the pressure down? Where's the threat at?
He's not going to come out and publicly, directly threaten the Attorney General, but this is...
Where was the threat at towards the Attorney General? See, again, people, it only takes a couple brain cells for these people to really think, but they go on national television and she just read it, and then they turn around and literally lie. And they're not even calling him out on it because this is what they want to be said. They want the lies to be said. And then see, this is what I say. I'm constantly saying that they don't get it. They constantly lie and they don't understand and they don't get why the people don't want to listen to them.
It's not the first time he's sounding like an organized crime boss. These things could happen if you don't do X, Y, and Z. So entirely inappropriate. Is it sufficient alone for an obstruction charge? Probably not. But I think that was the intent behind the message.
I believe that was the intent behind the message. See, I told y'all can't make it up. Y'all can't make it. You can't make this stuff up. They're not able to comprehend anything. All they see is violence themselves because they want violence. That's all. That's what's in them. They are of their father Satan, and they're the father of lies. That's who they are. That's who they want to be. That's what they're endorsing. That's what they support. Now, like I told y'all, they knew, the Biden administration knew. Sean Hannity has someone on his broadcast, and he actually talked to this gentleman, and they said from the documents and the information that they received that the Biden administration pulled the trigger on the raid against President Trump. Why? Because it's 100% political. They're terrified of President Trump returning in 2024, like I've said before. Many of us said it. They're terrified of this man, and he's just a man, and they're terrified of him. Imagine that. But listen to this report here on Fox News because they completely lay it out, talking about that the Biden administration completely knew.
All right, now we do have big breaking news tonight surrounding the raid at Mar-a-Lago, according to a brand new report. All right, now we do have big breaking news tonight surrounding the raid at Mar-a-Lago, according to a brand new report from justthenews.com. The Biden White House, get this, they facilitated this ongoing witch hunt against former President Trump, and they lied to the American people about what they knew and when they knew it. Here with this big breaking news, he's the editor-in-chief at justthenews.com. John Solomon is with us, investigative reporter. This is a big story because they knew. They told us they didn't know anything, but the Biden White House knew.
Yeah, not only did they know, they were pushing the investigation. They gave the permission to the National Archives to send the original boxes of documents that Donald Trump had sent back to the archives to the FBI. That launches the criminal investigation. They then give the archives the permission, Joe Biden's blessing, to waive the president's best legal defense by saying he can't claim executive privileges over this. The current president will not allow it to happen. All that occurs long before a grand jury drops a subpoena on President Trump's lawyers in May and June, and long before the raid. The Biden White House is at the ignition point of this investigation, and it's ironic because if you remember back in 2019 and 2020, it was the Biden Democrats that were complaining about efforts to start an investigation of Hunter Biden. Now they're caught doing the same thing, trying to push an investigation of their political rival, the opposition leader of the party, likely to face him in 2024.
And you know what? This is like the corruption of the century. And they're doing it right in front of our faces with this corruption. And they expect us to just look the other way or not to believe the corruption when we see it for our very selves. Right? Again, we see the truth, we hear the truth, but they want us to believe the lie and go along with the lie. And the rest of the country is saying, no, we're not going to do that. But listen, Sean Hannity is going to ask him the question about the document that's proved that they actually knew, that they actually pulled the trigger to raid President Trump's home.
All right, so you have this document in particular that actually proves your point. Tell us what's in the document.
Yeah, this is a letter from the acting National Archivist of America to President Trump's lawyer on around May 10th, and in it lays out the entire role of the Biden White House. The general counsel's office was involved. It authorized the release of documents to the FBI. That's what starts the criminal probe. It then authorizes telling the Trump attorneys they will not be able to use executive privilege, and also telling the FBI, you can take these records without an executive privilege fight, go use them. So they not only start the ignition point, they facilitate it by taking away one of the president's potential defenses. Alan Dershowitz, other lawyers I talked to tonight, deeply concerned by the Biden White House's involvement in this. They didn't have to be involved. The FBI could have gone to court, tried to compel this stuff. Instead, the FBI takes a shortcut, goes to the guy who might have to run against Donald Trump in 2024 and gets the records through the back door.
You know what? And the Biden administration knew exactly, saying, let's remove any executive privileges that President Trump has. So then that way they can go in and just do whatever it is that they want. Now it's starting to come to light for a lot of people on why the FBI wanted to cut off the cameras. Y'all remember that? Why did they want to cut off the cameras? Why would they want to do that? Good thing that they turned the cameras back on. Because if they didn't turn the cameras back on, and if the FBI didn't know that they had turned the cameras on, we would probably see just fraudulent stuff flying left and right all over the place right now, had they not turned the cameras back on. But because they turned the cameras back on, the FBI they got caught. I'm like, oh snap, we can't do this, we can't do that, because they had the cameras on. And then the Biden administration, they did this because they are terrified of President Trump returning and fixing America. Not just making America great again, but fixing America. Now he has to come in and fix it because they broke it. And I don't want to support anyone who wants to break America or tear the country down.
You know, I saw our colleague Greg Jarrett's column. They actually used Garland's words against him, that it's standard practice to use less intrusive means. And they also want to know in this filing today, did the FBI lie to the magistrate? Did they omit exculpatory information? There's got to be at least 30 questions just based on those two observations in this filing today as well, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt. Listen, there's so much we don't know. It's like March or April of 2017, Sean, when you and I were working on the Russia collusion story. We're going to learn a lot of facts, but tonight we have a new fact and evidence. The Biden White House can no longer claim it wasn't involved in the starting of this criminal investigation or its facilitation. In fact, long before the raid, we're talking about April and May. That's now a fact that's no longer in doubt.
They can't doubt it any longer. They can't deny it. They cannot deny it. And that comes back to, why are they trying to hide all of the information? How come they don't want everyone to see the information? The affidavit, black it all out. They probably want to take the entire thing, even the word affidavit, and just dip it in black ink and show you a black page and say, here's the affidavit. This is what you get to see. Nothing, because they want to hide the truth. The most corrupt government if you ask me, the most corrupt government in the United States of America, the history, is the current tyrannical government that we have right now. 100%. 100%. And you know what? They do tyrannical things. They do the corruption. I mean, Hunter Biden alone, and it's just happening. It's almost like we're watching an episode on The Simpsons. You know, The Simpsons or even with the South Park, where they show them doing all this corruption. If you ever watched those back in the day, they do all this corruption. It was like, ha ha, and we laugh at it, but they're actually doing it in real life and like, ha ha ha, but we're not laughing at it. They're actually doing this thing to us, you and I, and it's highly disturbing. So then they create this, and I didn't even know about this. They have the Trump administration, the Trump administration is asking for a special masters, right? And I had never heard of this expression before, and I'm kind of surprised that the left is not going ballistic about it, because it's called special master, where they have someone come in and make sure that the FBI is doing the right thing and make sure that, you know, the legal aspects of all of this is being handled correctly. And again, I'm kind of a little baffled why the left is not going crazy because of the word master, you know, because they had slaves. The left did, not the right, but only the left. But listen to this.
How about the request for a special master? We had Ellie Honig on earlier, who said not unreasonable to want kind of an independent party to be able to look through the documents and sift through them, figure out what can be returned to the Trump team. But how much would this delay the process? How much would it gum up the works?
Yeah, that's a great question. And no, it's not highly unusual to ask for a special master in a situation where the FBI seized a bunch of documents and the person who they were seized from is concerned they may have privileged materials, all kinds of stuff. It happens not every day, but it does happen in a lot of different cases. And the timing, it's not too late to do this. You can, even if some of the documents have been reviewed, you can, set those aside, appoint a special master. So it's not unheard of. But yes, it could absolutely delay the investigation. And what I'm concerned about is who's going to be the special master. I mean, normally the judge appoints that special master, but
you hear this? They want a total socialist, communist, democrat, an anti-Trumper to be over this. That's what they're asking for. And he's concerned that it's going to be someone who's going to do the proper thing. That's what their concern is about. The concern is not if they don't get a communist in there, then they're going to be saying this is not right. They're holding back information, holding back detail. But if they get someone that go in there and actually lie, then they'll be happy with it.
I can easily see the Trump side objecting to anyone who they appoint, which would further delay the case. So again, is it legitimate? In some cases, yes, but here probably brought up for delay.
And they're saying that President Trump is trying to do it for a delay. Well, President Trump is already saying, let's get the ball on the road. Let's do it now. Let's go. But they don't want to do that. All right, let me change stories up, because we can talk about Mar-a-Lago and we can talk about the corruption all day long, right? Because we all see that it's happening, but there's other stuff that's happening. Do y'all remember, or do you recall Rayshard Brooks? He was the guy that was in the Wendy's line. If I'm not mistaken, he was in the Wendy's line and he was drunk. And they end up calling the cops because I guess people were going around him because he passed out in his car right there in the drive-thru. They called the cops. The cops showed up and they were talking to him, trying to, have him do the sobriety test. And he ended up fighting with the two police officers, take one of their tasers, starts running away from them. He turns around to shoot them with the taser. And apparently he shot the taser off twice, but then the police officer shot him, right? So now the prosecutor that was wanting to put these two police officers behind bars, he lost his election seat. He lost his seat. So now the special prosecutor is saying, look, we're not going to prosecute these law officers because they did the right thing. And what do you think the Democrats are feeling about this? You know they're upset. They don't like it. Listen to this.
A special prosecutor has decided not to charge 2 Atlanta police officers in the death of a black man they detained in 2020.
The officer,
you know, she had to say of a black man, right?
Shot and killed 27-year-old Rayshard Brooks outside a Wendy's restaurant. Brooks was running from the officers after he failed a sobriety test. He fought with the officers and then took a taser from one of them. CNN's Nick Valencia is live in Morrow, Georgia, with more on the decision. Nick?
Hey there, Victor and Allison. A press conference just wrapped up here from Special Prosecutor Pete Skandalakis, who was appointed to this case by Georgia's Attorney General. He says that they are moving to dismiss the charges against the 2 officers involved in the shooting death of 27-year-old Rayshard Brooks. Just to remind everyone how we got here, Paul Howard was initially the prosecutor in Fulton County who decided to charge these 2 officers after they used deadly force against Brooks. He lost his re-election bid as the Fulton County DA, campaigning on the charges of the officers involved in Brooks' death.
That says a lot. You hear that? He was actually campaigning, saying that I'm the guy that's going after the 2 police officers, and they voted him out. He was campaigning on that. So that's really a good sign that the people there voted him out, even though he was campaigning on it. Like, hey, we got to campaign. We got to put more police officers behind bars instead of the criminals. But the people are speaking. The people are waking up. This is really good news. Really good news.
Bonnie Willis, now the Fulton County District Attorney, she was recused then from the case, making way for Skandalakis, who provided some more details about that incident back in June 2020. They were quick to underscore that under Georgia law, a taser can be seen as a deadly weapon, and it was during his struggle with police that Brooks was able to wrestle away a taser from one of the officers and deploy it, according to the special prosecutor, at least twice. Listen to him when he said afterwards that he did not believe race played a role in this incident. He was asked what he would say to those who believe race was a factor.
Black lives do matter.
Yeah, but so do all lives, and so do brown lives, and so do white lives, right? All lives matter. And you know what? And there's another thing that he's getting ready to talk. He's going to talk about the African American community. I don't like that term because I don't know of any Africans that moved to America and started up a community. I don't. Now, I know some people from Africa. I've met people from Africa. I met a white man in California when I was living in California. His entire family is from Africa. He has dual citizenship, and on his dual citizenship, it says African American, but mine doesn't. I've never been to Africa. But listen to what he says.
I've spent my entire career representing black victims of crime. And I will tell them that I understand that the encounters between police and the African American community at times are very volatile. But I will ask them to look at the facts of this case, and this isn't one of those cases. I do understand there has to be an outreach between law enforcement and the African American community, and I encourage that outreach to continue.
So, again, what happened there with the prosecutor that was going after the police officers, no longer there. The police officers will not be charged. This is good because all they did was their jobs. I know some people, probably some trolls on here, saying, how dare you? How dare you? How dare you say that? And I know they're out there. And then they go, you're a black man, and how dare you say that? Well, you know what? I don't care what your complexion is. If you break the law, if you try to shoot at police officers, you're liable to get shot. Your color has nothing to do with it. Nothing. And just because it was a black man means nothing. It means he was a criminal thug. That's all it means. If you want to harp on his complexion, his skin color, that's entirely up to you. I'm not going to do that. He was a criminal thug. He should have never pointed the taser at the police officers. And then some of them go, well, they didn't have to use such excessive force. It was just a taser. Oh, yes, you do. Yes, you do. He didn't have to fight with them. If anything, you know what? They would have probably took him to jail and maybe just let him sleep it off because he was just in the drive-thru. He was just in the drive-thru. It wasn't like he was driving around. Well, he was driving around intoxicated like that, but he was just sitting in the drive-through. You know what? They made him say, look, just come here. We'll let you sleep it off. But he didn't even get to that point to find out. He wanted to fight with him. Let me bring up something else here. And I think it's really important for me to show this. You know, when President Trump was in office, everything was the opposite of what we're seeing right now. Y'all remember when President Trump, he had these companies would come to the White House and they were making pledges, right? Saying that, Mr. President, because you removed the red tape, we're going to, or I guess in this case, because it should be called blue tape, right? Because it's only the Democrats that want to prevent, companies from actually flourishing. They said, because you removed the tape, because you removed the policies that was hindering us, these companies were making pledges to President Trump saying, hey, we will bring X amount of jobs back. Some companies were saying we're going to bring 1,500 jobs. Some companies said we're going to bring 3,000 jobs. Some companies said we're going to bring our entire company back here and hire people. That's why under President Trump, without having any kind of extra external event take place, President Trump was breaking records because of the policies that he was doing. More black people, more Hispanic people were working. They were reporting it as history-breaking movements that the job recording. History. Even our stock market. The stock market was booming, record-breaking stock market numbers. Do y'all remember? It is the opposite of what we're seeing today. Just like I constantly say, President Trump said America first. The Democrats say America last, and we are seeing it happen. Everything that was positive, we're seeing just the opposite today. And then they talk about they're going to give $7,500 for EVs. And then the only thing that happened is that the company said, oh, here's $7,500. That's a bonus for us. For every vehicle, $7,500. That's a bonus for us because all they did was raise the price $7,500. Listen to this, because this is what the opposite. Remember, I just mentioned to you, there were businesses saying that they were bringing back jobs to America to hire more people. Now we're seeing the opposite.
Ford's CEO, Jim Farley, along with the executive chairman, Bill Ford, announcing layoffs this morning. The company will eliminate 3,000 white-collar jobs and contract jobs worldwide. This as the company cuts costs to make the transition to electric vehicles.
Now, I'm just wondering how many people watching the broadcast right now is affected by that, because I would imagine that some people are probably not even watching the television, not doing anything, just finding out that they're about to be laid off. And it wasn't the whole point of them signing that bill was to create jobs. Wasn't that the whole point? So if they sign the bill and then companies say, well, you know what, we have to lay people off after the government signed the bill. So not only is the inflation hurting America, but we are in a recession. They don't want to acknowledge it. They even have the liberal media now trying to act like we're not in a recession, talking about it's possibly a recession is coming after we've already hit 2 consecutive quarters with our economy down, 2 consecutive quarters. So what happens when the third quarter come up? Are we just going to say we're going to push it off again and say, well, it might be coming? Again, they see the truth, they hear the truth, but yet they believe the lie and they tell the lie. Listen to what they say here about the recession.
There is a lot of pessimism out there in this survey. This is from the National Association of Business Economics. And check this out. 19% say that the U.S. economy is already in a recession. That is a staggering figure. Also, a whole bunch more think in the next few quarters. You add this up, that's 53%. Together, 72% say the U.S. economy is either in a recession or headed there very soon.
Very soon. You hear this? They say 19% already said we're there, but 22% or 70, actually they say 70% believe that we're going to be there really soon. We're already in it. We're already seeing it. Have you been to the grocery store lately? Again, I took a picture when I was in the grocery store at one point. A 2-pound piece of salmon was $31. $31. And we're posting, and again, with all of these layoffs coming, is hurting people. It hurts all of us. I mean, it really does. It hurts all of us. And then there's a whole laundry list of companies about to lay off more people. And I'm just wondering how many people watching this work for any of these companies. And a lot of these companies happen to be woke companies, which is really interesting to me.
A growing number of U.S. companies say that they are planning to lay off workers. A lot of uncertainty over the future of jobs in this country. Some major companies already announcing cuts, including Ford cutting 3,000 jobs. Now a new survey finds more than half of all major companies in the U.S. are planning layoffs in the coming months, while 52% are preparing for hiring freezes. 44% plan to rescind job offers. Fox Business correspondent Jackie DeAngelis joins us now. Jackie, great to see you.
Good to see you.
This is scary to hear because the one thing, and the White House likes to tout this, that has been holding out in this economy has been the jobs market. We've been able to see there's millions of open jobs out there, and if somebody wants a job, they can certainly go find one. Is that changing?
It seems to be changing, and I've been saying this is the next shoe to drop, right? So last week I was talking about some of the layoffs that we've seen in tech, and let me just go over some of the big names with you. Either slowing hiring or laying people off. Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Meta, Netflix, Peloton, Tesla, Twitter. The tone out there from CEOs is that there are headwinds coming. We're bracing for that. We're trying to anticipate it and be ready for it. Then you hear from the retailers like Target, Walmart, Best Buy, Lowe's, Gap, TJ Maxx. They're all either warning or they're lowering their profit guidance. This has been a fun summer. Everyone's been out spending. I'm telling you, after Labor Day, people are going to have to come back and face some harsh realities. We're going to start to see that impacted in the market. Stock market just realized it yesterday.
Yeah, you're already seeing it. I mean, Ford, that was a bit of a shocker, right? So they're leaning in hard on going the EV route, and so they're laying off in other parts of their company.
And you know what? I don't know if y'all can see that, but look at the Dow Jones. Look at the Dow right there. It's just down. Everything is just down. All of our 401ks, our portfolios, everybody's numbers are just down. And this is the goal. I've said it so many times. And you know what? There's actually people around the world, and I just happen to look over here and I see that there's people actually watching around the world. There's people in Canada, Australia, Philippines, UK, and more watching my broadcast right now around the world. And what is happening here in the United States of America, it is going to end up happening in your nation if it's not already happening. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about the WEF. The World Economic Forum. What they're doing to the United States of America is by design. They're wanting to tear down the world economies, people. And they're not even shy about telling you any longer. They want to bring it out. They want to push it that way. They want to push it. Let me show you something else real quick, if I can, about how they're pushing insanity. You have people that's running for political office, and these people are batty. Mitch McConnell, he literally conceded to the Democrats like days before the midterm election, just conceded to him. And he's saying it because there's Trump supporters or Trump-backed supporters that are winning their primaries. And Mitch McConnell is saying, well, this is not looking good. We're not getting qualified people is basically what he's saying. But he doesn't say anything about these people like Beto Fake Mexican O'Rourke. Listen to what he says. And again, they always act like they're champion of women. So all of you beautiful ladies out there right now, he's saying that he's championing for you, especially if you're here in the state of Texas. He's saying that he's championing for you. But he's not championing for you when it comes to a man putting on lipstick and a dress. When it comes to a man putting on lipstick and a dress, you're secondary. But in this case, when he's trying to say that, oh, the Republicans are taking away your health rights, then he wants to act like he's championing for you.
Turning out to vote and winning this election in November is the first order of business. And then ensuring that every woman in the state of Texas can make her own decisions about her own body and her own future is a thing that we've got to be focused on, working with Democrats, Republicans, independents.
So which Republicans are working with this nut job? I want to know. Oh, maybe it's Dan Crenshaw. Oh, there's a thought. It's probably Dan Crenshaw. Wouldn't surprise me one bit.
The people of Texas and making sure that women here lead the way, as they did in 1973. Jane Roe, of course, a Texas woman, as were her two attorneys.
The same Jane Roe that years later said that she was completely sorry and she apologized. She was crying about it, that she ever did that. But they don't ever talk about that. They don't ever acknowledge that. Again, they don't want people to know the truth. Here's another nut job. Have y'all seen this nut job? Completely, totally batty. This dude talking about voter ID. He's basically saying that it's outrageous, illogical, unfair for you to have to present an ID to vote. And then he has the nerve, the audacity to have a flag behind him.
My concern about voting in Pennsylvania is the Republicans are looking to amend our Constitution here in the state that mandates, ID every time, not
ID every time. Good for the Republicans there.
Just when you sign up, but every time, which is, again, outrageous. It's illogical and it's unfair.
How is it unfair? I mean, so does that mean if I have to get on an airplane, I have to show my ID every single time? Can I say that's unfair? Can I do that? Can I? I would say it is. It is unfair. Let me share one more thing for you. This is really quick. It's really quick. Out of all this stuff that's happening, even some Democrats are starting to reject Joe Biden even more so. I saw a poll last week or the week before where they were talking about 75% of the Democrats don't want Joe Biden to run again. 75%. And you know the number is growing. Here's one where they're talking about on MSDNC, talking about they don't like his job performance. And they're saying this is the lowest ever. The lowest ever. Listen to this.
Line question we're always looking at here in midterm election years, the president's job approval rating, and you see Joe Biden in our new poll, 42% approve, 55 disapprove. It's been a few months since the last NBC poll back in May. And the change since then, really no change.
You know what? If you ask me, they're fudging the numbers, right? Because it's probably even more than that. No one is for this dude. Nobody. I mean, well, you have some, libtards, what they call them. I mean, I never really use the term. I just said it then, but I don't ever use it. It just came to mind, libtards. But there's some insane people out there that's not dealing with a full deck, thinking that Biden's doing a great thing because he's going the socialist communist path. But I'm telling you, I'm willing to bet that they fudged the numbers here. And this is on the MSDNC, and of course they lie just as well as the Communist News Network. They lie just as well. So why would you even believe any of these polls?
Biden's approval rating exactly the same in our poll toward the end of the summer as it was as the summer was beginning. And the key to this, of course, obviously, there usually, historically, has been a pretty strong link between a president's job approval rating and how his party does during midterm elections. The only two times in modern history that a White House party has actually picked up seats in midterm elections was Bill Clinton in 98. It was George W. Bush in 92. Their approval ratings were both well above 60%. Biden's, you see, sitting in that zone where presidents and their parties typically have.
Okay. Yeah, I hear that. His numbers are low. And I have to make a correction here. I made a incorrect. Now I understand it. Actually, Jerry Nadler, I hate to say this, Jerry Nadler did win. He won by 56%. Now it makes sense. That's sad. New York is sad. There's no hope for New York. I thought there was going to be hope for New York. What? There's still a chance in the general election, right? There's still a chance. I guess the Jerry Nadler, he pour money into making it happen there. So I apologize for having that incorrect And I apologize for letting you know about bad news like that. Jerry Nadler did win his primary. Ugh. That's disgusting. That's repulsive. It really is. It really is. Okay. Let's say thank you to a couple people before I bounce out of here. Hey, if you're on Rumble, please, I'm asking you, show me some love. Show me some love, please. You know, Rumble is the only account that I have to pay to keep it up. So if you're watching a Rumble and you like me on Rumble, please consider supporting me on Rumble. It really makes a difference. I'm just whatever you can, because I know we're in a recession. I'll admit it. And I know that they're doing the jobs layoffs. But you know what? I'm sitting there thinking, I'm going to be honest with you about something. I'm like, should I talk about that? Because then people are like, well, all this recession stuff you're talking about, and it's all bad. I'm not going to support you. But you know what? Regardless of all that, I said I had to share it with you because it's the truth. It's what's happening, right? It's happening. So if you're able, right? If you're able and God has blessed you, please, I'm asking you for your support. Send me a Rumble rant on Rumble. I'm asking. I look every now and then, and people tune in. There's 100+ people on there right now. At least that's what it's telling me. And I'm asking for any of you, please support me. And if any of y'all have Rumble, if you're on Rumble, please, y'all need to connect with me on Rumble. Because, you know, the closer we get, we're going to see what happens. But anyways, let me say thank you to Cindy for the stars. Thank you so much, Cindy. I really appreciate it. Ellie, thank you so much. Cindy E, thank you so much. Dora, thank you. Selena, thank you so much. Julie, thank you. Catherine, thank you. Sherry, thank you. Michelle, appreciate you. Rick, thank you so much. Linda, thank you. Janet, thank you so much. Chuck, I really appreciate you, Chuck. David, thank you so much. Robin, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Maureen, thank you so much. Caesar, thank you so much for the Cash App. Thank you so much for that. Wow, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Okay, I think that was the last one. I think that was it. All right, everybody. If you bless me any kind of way, sharing this right now would be a great deal. Just hit the share button. That would bless me tremendously. It really would. It really would. All right. And also, if you go to my website, uniteamericafirst.com, just scroll down right there on the front of the page. You'll see my podcast. Please subscribe to my podcast. I'm live right now on my podcast. Right now, I'm live on my podcast. It's called Podbean. If some of y'all probably heard of that, some of y'all probably never heard of it. It's called Podbean. I'm live right now. I can see there's at least one person on there. Looks like there's one person on there. It's fairly new. It's fairly new. So if you want to get to it, just go to my website. And there should be a link under the www.uaf.media. www.uaf.media. If you go there should be a link to my Podbean account so you can subscribe. Please subscribe. It's free. It's free to subscribe. And you can listen to it on Spotify, Pandora, all of the audio podcasts, whichever one you prefer. Whichever one you prefer, you can listen to it. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for the blessings. We'll see you on the flip side. Stay safe, stay blessed, and pray up. Reality check.